If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour.
We stand for Queen,
country, and video games. BRB UK.
Worse teeth,
better accents.
Hello, and indeed, a very sweaty ahoy hoy. It's BRB UK. It's far too bloody hot. It's episode 302, which is the approximate temperature of the room that I'm recording in degrees C. Actually, and probably in degrees Kelvin as well.
Good.
About 302, yeah, possibly a bit warmer than that. Yeah. That's fun temperature scale facts for you there, ladies and gentlemen. You know you're tuned in to the coolest podcast on the internet when we're talking about things like this. Yes, indeedy. As I've said, I'm Dan. I'm one of your hosts. I'm joined by Timothy K. Hibbs.
Hello.
As in degrees Kelvin Hibbs. How you doing?
Degrees Kelvin Hibbs. That's the first time I've ever been called that.
Yeah, what would you like to be called? If you had any choice in nickname, what would you want?
I pretty much chose my choice of nickname with all of my gamer tags.
Right.
So, Mighty Mutt is my answer to that question.
I was hoping it was going to be, I don't know, anyway. Well, the Tim's clearly run out of imagination, so only one person left to introduce, and that is Christopher Danger Coleman.
Hi, I don't like that you're calling me Christopher. I feel like I'm in trouble. Episode 302, more like episode 302. Hot in here.
No, Tim, stop taking off all your clothes. Bad man.
Are we allowed to pick our own nicknames now, I hear?
Yeah, pick your own name. What do you want to be?
Mongoose McQueen.
Ooh, nice. Nice. And that alliterates as well.
Mine alliterated. It's just unoriginal.
Can I pick Tim's?
Yes.
Yeah, you picked Tim's.
Dirk Burkleton.
Dirk Burkleton.
Okay, mine's Rusty Skidmark.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I was going to say, why was I the only one that got a porn name and then you got a bizarre porn name?
Sexton Hardcastle.
Nice. Someone's got a name generator in front of them. How the devil are you, chaps?
Hot, sweaty, but good.
Timothy, how are you?
I'm good, but you steered us away from a subject that had an interesting outcome just then.
Right.
Sexton Hardcastle is actually one of Coleman's alter egos. There you go.
That's the name of my American PlayStation account.
Not as good as MC Scrobbler Doubler. What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, do we need to get Sexton Hardcastle and the Scrobbler on a stream together at some point?
That would be an amazing Twitch stream that would get shut down for being too pornographic.
It would be amazing. The amount of anti-vaxxing flat earthing that would go on in that particular stream would be incredible.
When did this start? Do you know how many toxins are in those injections? Yeah, boy!
Yeah, boy! You got bits of babies in your feet! Oh. The world is like well flat because water doesn't bend and stuff, innit?
BigRedBarel UK does not condone the beliefs of flat earthing or anti-vaxxing.
If you hadn't noticed, we were slightly taking the mick out of them, but there we go.
Shall we start the show?
No, never.
Or are we just doing this?
Yep, this is it from now on.
Yeah, we could just do this. So, the Culling 2 was cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you know this came out?
No.
Well, I must admit, I was busy that Tuesday morning, so I missed it. So, what? Tell me what happened.
Well, so I tend to go through the PlayStation Store a few times when all the new stuff comes out. I go through and see what's available, and the Culling 2 popped up. And I don't know if you've ever played the Culling or know of the Culling.
I know of the Culling. I have not played the Culling.
Yeah, it was an early access PC game. It was Battle Royale before we started calling them Battle Royale games. It was a survival online multiplayer title. And it stayed in early access for what seemed like forever and never came to consoles. And it did pretty well, but they made so many changes to it that people just kind of went off it and it went away. The same company, they've been making the Culling 2. I spotted it on the PlayStation Store for about £30. Kind of ummed and ahed over it because I liked the Culling and decided not to. And then...
I never heard you talk about the Culling before.
No, this was before I came on the show. It was that long ago.
Okay.
But yeah, this is an old Steam Early Access title. This came to PlayStation, I think, also Xbox and PC. And then I looked into it a bit more and found out it's a Battle Royale game that could only hold 50 people because they weren't confident they could get 100.
Right.
And on launch, they were lucky if they had 6 people.
Ah, so it's more like a battle chicken nugget.
Yes. Then. And winner pot.
Winner chicken nugget dinner.
And then a couple of days into the game's launch, it was down to 1 or 2 people on a server at a time.
Ah.
Yeah.
I have a question, Mr. Coleman.
Uh-huh.
Is the culling just basically the Purge, the video game?
It's more like, because it's game showified, so it is more like Battle Royale than the Battle Royale games. It's a big circle going outwards, shrinking down. Instead of just going to a focal point, it moves as well. But then the whole aesthetic of the title is you're on a big island, but it is a game show that you're taking part of. So yeah, kind of Battle Royale, kind of The Condemned. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. And it was all right. But this one, it does look like a cheaply made version of the first game. And within a week of it releasing, it was then taken down.
It looks woefully generic, doesn't it?
It's very bad.
Yeah.
Like even the kind of selling point of the first game was the whole aesthetic of the game show feel, the kind of Running Man feel. And it just looks like they've taken a bunch of assets and slapped the culling labels on it. It doesn't look good. So the developers came out and said, "Hey, we're sorry. We've launched this. It's not ready. We didn't put any effort into launching it. Looks like they didn't put any effort into making it. And they've decided to pull it from the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, the PC, Steam. I don't know if they've actually managed to pull it yet, but they said they were in contact at that point. Also processing refunds. So if you have bought it, which there's probably about 8 of you.
Jesus.
Look into it to see if you have had your refunds. But yeah, they're doing refunds, and they've decided instead what to do was to go back to the first culling game.
Right.
Remove all the updates that people hated.
Okay.
Go back to the day one version, turn it into a free-to-play game.
I didn't know Bungie were doing a Battle Royale.
But yeah, they're going to make it the first game free-to-play, and they're going to go back to its roots and try to work on... basically take all the feedback they're getting from their audience into account rather than just doing what they want and then getting complaints from the audience, because it's kind of proved in this case, whenever they've been getting suggestions that they've gone, well, that sounds like a dumb idea, we're going to do this instead, it's totally blown up in their face. And it would have worked out if they did follow some of this direction they've been getting.
Yeah, so we decided to put it back to a state where it hadn't changed at all. It's a bit kind of, too diametrically opposite, but it kind of sounds a little bit of an irrecoverable situation, especially if kind of the original game, didn't really reach critical mass for a particularly long time either.
I like the fact that they were like, I'm sorry, our second game is so bad, we're going to go back and fix our first game.
We're going to erase it. We're going to erase it from history is what we're going to do.
This is only the second time in the current generation I've actually seen this happen. It's the Culling 2 and I think Afro Samurai 2?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, it was Afro Samurai, I think.
Yeah, which they really... I remember playing that game and it was so horribly broken. Going, wow, they got a lot of work to put into this. When's it out? Oh, next week. Okay.
Oh.
And it came out, they released it, and then they cancelled it within a week after loads of complaints, and then just automatically issued refunds to anyone that had bought it.
You don't even need to ask. Just have money. Have your money back.
That's got to be expensive, because I don't know how much it costs to submit a game to different services.
I think if you proactively do the refunds without essentially a chargeback being issued, it does work out cheaper. I'm not saying it's cool, but if you're trying and save at least a little bit of money, I think if you just declare that you're going to give everyone the dosh back, it does work out cheaper.
For instance, I heard from a developer recently, and I know this is a slightly different thing, but this just gives over to the costings of this type of thing. If you want to do an update to your game, and it's the second update within 6 months, that costs you £25,000.
Just make sure the game's right in the first place, mate.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's obviously an incentive to try and make sure you do that. But you do see games that are patched multiple times and then therefore have paid that amount of money. But then I'm wondering what happens if you want to take your game off the store. They surely don't just go, oh yeah, okay, you just don't have to give us any money now. That's fine. I'm sure there must be a cost to that, no?
Well, I know it costs isn't there a minimum amount you have to give Valve, I think, to just get on the store or to even to get on early access, I think, and that is just to stop people just flooding the market with games.
Yeah, but this is one of the first early access games, so that charge would have been $100, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't that much, was it?
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's a shame because the first game, when it was in early access, it was a hit, and it had so many updates to it that people didn't like it. It went away. Other products just kind of overtook it. It would be interesting to see, how they work with this the free to play model. If that does take off, could this then come to consoles later? It'd be interesting because I once again, I liked the little bit of the culling that I played, and it would be something I'd like to mess around with again.
Well, maybe your wish may come true, Coleman.
I want to mess around with someone else as well.
No means no.
Live
Coleman.
on the show.
No means no.
I want to play
Jesus.
No Man's
Oh,
Sky.
turn your web. Or you want to play No Man's Sky?
I want to play No Man's Sky.
It's like we've travelled back into a mystical world from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I still can't quite get out of my head that Jurassic Park trailer that someone put together for No Man's Sky. Yeah, with the crap harmonica version of it.
I can't get over the 25-foot Jeff Goldblum statue that's down Tower Hill.
Yeah, why the hell is that there?
25th anniversary of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Of course. So yeah, No Man's Sky next, where they've been engaging in fluffing up the hype train over the past couple of months with an ARG, which has been very mysterious, and I can't quite work out how it's all related to the actual plot of No Man's Sky next. But there's actual multiplayer character customization, and you can see your own damn characters this time.
So this is interesting because the first ever reveal trailer that came out did kind of insinuate that there's multiplayer in the game, and they, it took them a while for them to just downright go, no, you won't. There will be players in the universe, but you won't see them. You won't be able to find your friends, and that turned out to be a load of codswallop.
Yeah.
But the other thing I found interesting, because I wanted to play multiplayer in the game really badly. I remember very early on after us playing the game, Tim, in fact, you said that it was a shame that you had this cool looking, old school sci-fi looking character that you never got to see because it's in first person.
Yeah.
So I like that they've like two of our wishes have been granted within this update.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think
it's
a lot
not
a lot of the fact that they've put the third person in is related to the fact that they've put the character customization in, no? Because otherwise you just wouldn't get to see half of the customization that you made.
Like Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's a fun fact. You can currently get No Man's Sky secondhand from Game. Other retail stores are available for £10.
Okay.
That's the
£10.
original No Man's Sky, and the next update is free. So that if you can find a copy for cheap, it might be a good time to jump on in. They are really kind of going for it this time, and it's very much, it kind of seems to be this console generation of a year and a half later actually releasing the game you meant to release in the first place. That's very much this.
You're still waiting for Destiny then.
Yeah, exactly. So, but there's loads of other goodies. Shinier visuals, apparently. Dramatically improved planetary terrain generation, ground textures, water, and clouds. With more detail added to all the characters.
That was my problem with the game.
Yeah, what the lack of detail on the clouds.
Lack of detailed clouds. I mean,
yeah, I do like a detailed cloud.
Yeah.
Also, a third-person viewpoint, so you can look at your character as he looks at the clouds wistfully.
Yes, that's important.
More extended base building, hundreds of new base parts, and the maximum size of base you can build is now bigger. So you too can build a massive base with the window where you can stare at the visually improved clouds. And if clouds aren't your thing, and this sounds really cool, actually. So in the original No Man's Sky, you just essentially had a single seat ship that you flew about.
Yeah.
Then in Atlas Rises, you got the ability to buy a freighter, so a massive ship, and command that and drive that about the universe. But now you're going to be able to command a fleet of ships.
Awesome.
Which sounds really cool. But the details are a little bit up in the air at the moment.
If this is command a fleet of ships in the same way you commanded teams of assassins in Assassin's Creed.
Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, in a really ultimately very cool world, a very cool version of this, and this is just me, pie in the sky thinking, I really, really don't think this will be the case. But bearing in mind it's technically a shared universe, wouldn't it be amazing if you sent your ships out on a week-long mission and other players could encounter those ships?
Yeah.
As they went about their business. Wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't that just mean, when you say encounter, don't you mean rob?
Yeah, a little bit.
Rob the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah, a
Can
little
I
bit.
follow Tim to a planet? So the original mission was hunt Tim down to the ends of the galaxy and shoot him out the sky.
Which we're now going to be able to do.
Yeah. Now the new plan is follow Tim to secretly covert. Follow Tim to a planet, and then while he's out
Unleash
picking up
the whole fleet.
some unobtainium or something, I'll get in his ship and then fly off with it.
No, what I'd just do something a little, just to really mess with him. I wouldn't steal his ship. Well, not permanently anyway. What I'd do, I'd just get in his ship and then move it 10 metres to the right and park it again.
And then just keep
And
following
then
him
he
throughout the
wouldn't
day.
know if he's just remembering stuff a bit wrong or if he was going mad. That's what I'd like to do.
There's some funny things because are we all in the same position? Dan, have you been back since the previous updates?
I dipped my toe back in the water when Atlas Rises launched, but I felt I had to do a lot of relearning of the game, and some of the core bits didn't quite seem to gel with that particular update. But no, I'm probably going to start a brand new character.
That's what I'm going to do, because I
Yeah.
went back in after your recommendation and I went back to my old save.
got no idea
and
what's going on.
Didn't know what was happening. And it seemed every time I was on a planet, I don't know what I was up to last time, because I was on a planet and then I get in my ship and then
no
I fly
pants.
off into space and then instantly get attacked by pirates, and it kept happening. I was like, I don't know what, I can't remember what's happening in this game.
Nurse, take me back, nurse.
So yeah, Coleman and I are in the same position. Obviously, Dan, you've messed around a little bit since, but it'll be weird to go back to and see how all these editions have changed the game and how the previous edition and this edition kind of make a difference. But there's some things on it that I'm like, really? That wasn't in there in the last update kind of thing, when they're saying like unlimited base building and you can build bases anywhere. And it's just like, I couldn't do that before.
Well, to be fair, I think the game had more profound problems than that to begin with.
Well, possibly, yeah.
I mean, at its heart, No Man's Sky, I think, is a game we've all really wanted to love. But and if you just want to chill out and zone out, actually, it's quite a nice experience to do that. Just tootle around in No Man's Sky. But yeah, I mean, it looks like they're trying to bring a bit more of a focus to the game with actual kind of proper. I know there is like an overarching story, and how you go here, how you do this, how you jump over to this system. But they're actually also bringing in multiplayer missions as well, so you can invite your mates onto your freighter, presuming they haven't stolen it or filled it up with space chicken turds or something. I don't know. And you can go off and do challenging missions together, which was nice.
Good.
And I've got a feeling there might be, and do correct me if I'm wrong, I've got a feeling there might be cross-play between Xbox One and PC, because that's the other big news. It was originally PS4 only, No Man's Sky, and it's now coming to Xbox One with the launch of the next update on the 24th of July.
I think they announced that just before E3.
Yes, and I think there is cross-platform play between Xbox and PC, but of course not between PS4 and anything else.
Aw.
Why? Because reasons.
PS4 and Ouya.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you said why, Dan? Partly for money, and partly because Microsoft were dicks about it in the last generation, so PlayStation don't see why they shouldn't be dicks about it in this generation.
Did I ever get a chance to do my Fortnite rant?
No, but I really don't want it.
No.
All right, okay, fair enough.
Time has passed, I'm afraid.
I specifically made sure there was no Fortnite news in this agenda.
Dan.
But there are points of interest.
Yes, there's only a few, but I'll add as I go on. So, World of Warcraft, you remember that game that came out in
Never heard of it.
2004,
Never heard of
I
it.
think?
Yeah, no one
Something
plays
stupid
that
like that.
anymore, surely.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever played. I've dabbled.
I dabbled in the free trial and got quite confused.
I played for a few weeks. I paid for about a year before I realised I'd still paid for that game.
You and half the rest of the world.
Yeah. Back when it was okay to put in really shady ways of trying to get yourself out of a payment. We're looking at UEA. Anyway, originally, if you wanted to go back into Warcraft, they made like a free version of which was just the first base game, and you could play it up to a certain level. Then you'd have to start paying for the subscription. But if you wanted to go in and be all singing and dancing, have all the expansions and stuff ready, you had to buy the game and the expansions. Now, if you have a subscription, you can play everything, which is all the expansions and stuff. I nearly said free of charge, but clearly you're paying for a subscription. And I believe once the next expansion comes out called Battle for Azeroth, that one you have to pay for. But all the previous expansions you get included in the subscription price.
Huzzah!
I think that's quite cool. Because I've numerous occasions, be it with DMed or Kev, gone, should we play, World of Warcraft's come up in conversation, gone, could totally play some World of Warcraft now. Let's go play some World of Warcraft, it'll be fun. And then you look at the price of the expansions, like, I don't want to play World of Warcraft right now. I'm good.
So hang on. So you need to pay for the Battle of Azeroth expansion, which is what, 40 quid?
If you go for that expansion, yes.
If you go for that expansion, but that, if you then, because even though you bought the expansion, you still need a subscription or game time, right?
Yes.
And so if you've got that, if you bought that and then go for a subscription, all of the previous stuff will be available to you, right?
Yes.
Okie dokie.
I don't.
Are you eyeing it up, Dan?
Considering,
Well, I'm just doing some research.
considering World of Warcraft's been going for so long, and it's like one of the only MMOs to still use the subscription model, it's not bad.
Yeah, I must say, I kind of think it might be a bit. I just think I'm going to have no idea and no appreciation of what's going on, because I think part of must have been really cool about World of Warcraft is watching the world evolve around you. Which obviously you're not really going to appreciate as a newbie.
You'd think that, but I know so many people that would play the game and they would just moan about the different changes. Like the new expansion come out and they go, "Oh wow, this level's really cool. Oh, this is a really nice little area." There's that. Oh my god, they've made changes to this. They've changed it. Mounts are at what, level 10 now? When I played, I had to be level 30 before I got a mount. You know.
Oh Jesus. But what lad? Back in my day. But yes. But I'm tempted by the fact that your mount can actually look like it's a moose. You can ride a moose.
Ride a moose into battle.
Ride a moose into battle.
That seems like it's set for you, Dan.
That may be an external payment.
I want the moose. I want the moose armor. I want to buy moose armor.
More recent games, there's a couple
Moose
of release
armor.
dates announced for
Moose.
South Park: The Fractured But Whole. There's new DLC called Bring the Crunch. That's the new expansion coming out on the 31st of July.
Presumably Captain Crunch related.
Whatever happened to that game? It kind of fell off the face of the earth a bit, didn't it?
It was great, like the original release, and then I think more recently it released on the Switch, and that was a bit balked. But I haven't heard too many people talking about the DLC. The couple that I have heard were saying reasonably good things, though. So
yeah. I think that game had a bigger drop off than the first game, sadly, which is weird. But I really enjoyed the first game. I still haven't got around to playing this one.
The second one's definitely worth going through and playing. Like it's significantly different enough, or having enough of the same like core DNA that if you liked the first one, you'll like this one. But it's different enough. Well, yeah, different enough and adds enough to it that. Yeah.
I want it, but I want it on the Switch. But I don't want. I refuse to pay. I refuse to pay £55 for a game that's been £20 already on other platforms.
Yes.
Yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, what's interesting is because the Switch version's only been out a couple of months, the new DLC is coming out on the Switch as well as the PlayStation 4 and the PC and the Xbox at the same time, so that's cool. Hollow Knight has its final piece of DLC called Gods and Glory. That's another Metroidvania 2D indie title, Dan.
I'm surprised neither of you have picked this up.
I was playing it on the Switch. I've been playing on the Switch. Man, that is a game that throws you right in at the deep end. But it's a wonderfully put together game. Yeah, but I still don't feel like I've even scratched the surface, but I'm having good times with Hollow Knight. And it's awesome that the last bit of DLC is releasing free for all players on the Switch and PC.
Yeah, that's on the 23rd of August.
Certainly is.
Just to add a quick bit in here that I forgot to stick in the agenda.
Oh, go on then, shove it in, Coleman.
Have you watched this Uncharted?
Short yet?
Oh, yes,
Nathan
I have.
Fillion.
Nathan, what's really weird, right? So Nathan Fillion is playing a character that Nolan North is kind of synonymous with, but in Destiny Forsaken, because for whatever reason Nathan Fillion was unable to do the voice of Cade 6.
Scheduling conflict.
Yeah, Nolan North now pretends to be Nathan Fillion. It's a topsy-turvy world in which we live.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
They're two interchangeable peoples.
Yes, they are.
But yeah, I kind of... I don't know, when it's a fan service type thing like this, don't you kind of think, really? Nathan Fillion had nothing better to do? Like, I like it and I appreciate it. I'm glad he did it.
I tell you, he should have been doing the bloody Destiny 2 lines. That's what he should have been doing.
You know what I mean? But it does seem a bit, I don't know, just to me, it seems a little bit on the odd side, no?
I think it's quite cool.
I think it's cool, and yeah, I like it. I'm always a bit confused by it. That's all.
But I think Nathan Fillion is genuinely a big. I mean, he's genuinely a massive games fan. Genuinely,
And that's why he likes to get involved in those things as well. No,
like Halo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's. I must say that the appeal of it is slightly for kind of dorking out and going, oh wow, cool! Look, it's Nathan Fillion being Nathan Drake. That's really cool. That's really what you're turning up for. Nateception. The other actors.
Unfortunately, the guy who played Sully was rubbish.
Yeah, I recognised him from somewhere though. No, like he's a reasonably well-known actor as well.
He looked like a character actor. I recognise the woman because she's in episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely recognise the guy that played Sully.
Stephen Lang, apparently.
Okay, don't know where I've known him from, but
I'm just finding out now.
He's your biological father.
I swear I know him from some sort of TV series or something. Yes, that's exactly where this is going.
What was I going to say? Oh, I really liked the guy who was the torturer type character, the little dude.
The little dude?
Yeah.
I thought it was all like quite well done considering, that it was what it was kind of thing. There was a lot of people that was like, I would pay to see a whole movie with that.
Oh, totally.
And I really would. Like, it doesn't need to be much more than that to be a decent movie.
Or would it be one of those things, though, that would never live up to expectations? Is perhaps that little bit all we need? That's where I know him from, Avatar.
Yes,
he was the bad guy in Avatar.
He wanted to be Cable for the Deadpool 2 movie. I remember now. It's one of those things when around about Uncharted 2 time they were working on an Uncharted movie. They are again now, but a different version. And initially it was meant to be Mark Wahlberg with Robert. I can't even remember now. But anyway, it looked awful, and it was probably going to be awful.
Like
and they scrapped the idea. And I wanted a Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake in a movie instead.
He's just so perfect for the role.
Yeah,
no?
And then as the years have gone on, and I've seen him in different roles, I've gone, yeah, I mean, like maybe Nathan Drake about 10 pies ago, but yeah. And I've just like that's gone out of my head. I've gone, well, he's too old for the role now. And then after seeing that, and it's set after Uncharted 3, I could totally watch this. This would be awesome. I loved it.
I mean, good for him for doing a fan movie. And God knows how they got Stephen Lang. Nathan Fillion to do this. I've no idea actually made it, but
yeah, it's one of those things where often the director of these things will go on to actually do something more substantial. It just probably won't be related to Uncharted and stuff, basically. But
yeah, I'm not going to lie, it's not the best cinematography I've ever seen.
No. But then that's something that on a higher budget with a better cameraman and all that type of stuff, you might see that improve. But like, I thought it was decent in that respect, and everything else is good. Like, the one thing I'll say is, if you were going to spin that out into a full movie, you've probably packed in all the best fan service and like some really good moments into that like distilled thing, and like actually branching out into wouldn't necessarily add that much to it. Possibly would be the.
I mean, what I would worry about, like, and this is not so much with kind of the Marvel universe, but certainly like probably more the recent past of the DC universe movies. They do really well in trailers, and you go, "Wow, that looks really cool. That's hitting all the beats there. Oh, that's amazing." But actually, sometimes when it's spun out to a whole movie, it slightly overstays its welcome. So yeah, but no, that is. I have to say, I did geek out a bit about that. That was it was very cool.
Yeah, it was quite cool.
Very, very cool. But apparently, Cade is still really dead, though.
Wasn't happy with it. I mean, because when they showed the thing, I thought that was a thing for shock value. They're going to kill him off. Oh, how are they going to bring Cade 6 back? And then as soon as they announced that Nolan North has taken the role from Nathan Fillion, I'm like, I don't care anymore. Don't even know if I want this expansion for a full game price.
I'm not biting. I'm not biting. Not going to do it. Nope. Never.
No.
No.
You sure?
No. Yeah, sure. I'm sure.
Okay.
Anywho, what we done played, chaps? I reckon Tim should go first, because then me and Coleman can adjust the amount of time we have to speak accordingly.
Plus, Tim's the only one with a well, actually, no, I've got a re-release as well. Never mind.
Good.
Go.
Onwards.
Right, well, this week I have mostly been playing Hand of Fate 2 on the Switch.
I have a question.
Yes?
Is it your left hand or your right hand?
The right Hand of Fate,
Right. Why not the left?
because that's for doing other things.
Like what?
Things that we can't talk about on a family podcast.
Well, it's a good job we're not a family podcast, Tim. I would like to... Coleman, don't you think we should find out more about what Tim does?
My family listen to this podcast, I'll have you know.
Don't you think that, Tim should actually let us know what he does? What do you do with your left hand? Is it your hand of shame, Tim?
Yes.
I think you should let Tim talk about Hand of Fate.
Yes,
so we can
that
get
would
this
be
over.
a better
Boom.
use of my time than
I have a
derailing
question.
me before I even got started.
I have a question.
Yes?
How are you spelling fate here? Is it with a E with a hat on it, TE? Is it a cutthroat simulator of primary school cake bake sales?
No, it is not. It is fate as in destiny, Dan. So therefore, you might like it
Destiny?
enough. Exactly.
Amazing.
Right, so this has got a few buzzwords going on with it. It's kind of roguelike.
Okay, check.
I think the original game, the original release of Hand of Fate, I think it was developed on Kickstarter, basically. It was definitely crowdfunded. And yeah, that released in 2015. And then I think it came out just on consoles and PC at the time. The Hand of Fate 2 has already come out and came out in November of 2017. But I've just picked up the Switch version, which has just come out this week. I was given a review code for it, I should mention. And yeah, I previously absolutely loved the first game. And yeah, I should have picked up the second game. I earmarked it to at some point, and for whatever reason, I didn't pick it up when it came out on consoles. I'm kind of glad I waited for the Switch version. And I'll come on to why in a second. But for anyone that doesn't know, it's a roguelike deck building game that...
Bingo!
Yep, where you're sort of traveling through different dungeons made up of a series of cards that have sort of challenges or kind of skirmishes on them. And when you get into one of the skirmishes or fights, it switches to a sort of third-person action role-playing video game type thing, basically.
Right, like a bit like Diablo or something, or
It's on a slightly smaller scale than that. The levels are quite generally small, and you're fighting a smaller group of enemies, even though it can scale up to sort of maybe as much as a dozen or so. It's generally that or less, basically. But yeah, it's something where they've improved upon and kind of perfected a lot of the mechanics that they had in the previous game, basically. And I do think this is a really good fit for the Switch, which is why I'm glad I kind of waited for it on the Switch. It's a good one to sort of jump in and out on. The roguelike elements, basically, and the sort of deck building comes in is you're venturing through the dungeon, and if you die, that's it. You're dead. You go back to the beginning. But as you're working your way through the level, there are various different cards that can unlock other cards that you can then use within the game, basically. And some of them will have kind of puzzles that you need to solve, and not quite puzzles, but like just things you need to work out what you need to say or what you need to do in response to the actions, so you know what result that you get out of them. Some of them will have like games of chance. The ones in this is just like a spinning deck of cards, and you've got to like tap it to stop it in the right place. There are also sort of dice-based games where you're rolling dice, and then there's some mechanic for like re-rolling some of those dice sometimes and stuff like that, and you just have to hit a certain number. And for instance, like there's one where it's framed as arm wrestling, and basically to beat the other person you need to beat their score in arm wrestling. But that one's a bit different because each time you come back, you'll at the next time that you're going through a dungeon, that will be a higher level than it was previously, so you'll need to hit a higher number, basically. Various different sort of mechanics and things that work like that. Like I said, if you get to like a card or a series of events that leads you down a path of having to battle people, the dealer will kind of pull out some cards that relate to the people you're battling. So for instance, it'll be like 4 steel and 4 greed, and that will mean you'll have 4 soldiers to fight and 4 thieves to fight, basically. And yeah, there's various different enemy types, and like as I said, everything's been kind of dialed up and sort of added an extra level of polish to it. But they have also changed the way that the mechanics work in the game a little bit as well. I can't remember how they did separate dungeons in the previous game because it's a little bit since I played it. But this one, they've got very definite paths that work in different ways. There's one called, I think it's the Emperor, where there's a little introductory thing, but then it's just a big, massive open square of cards that you have to find 4 relics that are kind of roaming around the environment. You have to kind of catch up to them on the cards and then do the puzzle that relates to them or satisfy the conditions that relate to them to get the relics. Then you need to get all the relics and give them over to someone else to kind of get through the level. There's another one called the High Priestess, where you have to get a certain number of blessings throughout your different encounters to then satisfy. I think it's 6 blessings you have to get to satisfy her at the end. And yeah, there's like various different kind of encounters and different ways of doing things. The combat has changed up a little bit as well in the fact that they've just perfected the way it works a little bit. I did say when I reviewed the previous game, I think I likened it to a poor man's Batman in a fantasy setting, and that kind of still remains the case. It's still kind of got it's still kind of got the counter button that you can just hit when something flashes above their heads, and other than that you're kind of attacking or dodging and rolling out the way type thing. Yeah, one of the other major additions they've made is to the combat is the fact that you've now also got a companion, and they will have a power. The first one you start with is the magician, and he'll be like firing fireballs at the different people in the environment, but then he'll also be able to put a protective bubble around you that stops you from taking one hit as well, which is quite handy.
Just one? Sounds a bit rubbish. He could up his game a bit, frankly, couldn't he?
You don't really want to be getting hit that much more anyway, so you want to be dodging and weaving and yep.
Is it Paul Daniels, that magician?
Yes,
excellent.
Definitely Paul Daniels.
Okay, and as he levels up, does he then become Dynamo, and then does he become David Blaine?
No, you generally go on
to his final form David Copperfield? You
generally go on to have different companions that you unlock throughout the game, and they will have different power. The second guy that I've got, like, kind of steamrolls through, and like he'll run ahead, like directly ahead of where he is, and steamroll through a load of people.
Leroy Jenkins, an excellent companion.
Yes, and stun them on the way so that you can go in and get like free hits on them and stuff like that. And yeah, both of them have their uses, and both of them have got like different encounter cards that go along with them as well that you need to kind of go down, the path of what they're doing. Yeah, and they've added, loads of new weapons, a few new features. I can't remember how they did the like highest level of weapons in this, but there's in the previous game rather. But yeah, in this game there's kind of exemplary weapons that are quite rare, and you can only have one card that relates to those type of things in your deck basically. But then it also allows you, and I don't remember it doing this last time. Last time I think you just built a deck and did that. Whereas in each of the different levels, and the levels are incidentally as well, this is one thing they definitely didn't have before. They had like a kind of map, and you're going across the map to get to the different levels basically. And there's different layouts for each one of those levels and different things that go with that. And then you also get to build your deck for each one of those levels. And so you'll have like whichever one you want as your companion, that's one card. And then you'll have a deck of encounters, a deck of weaponry that you can find throughout the level, and then a deck of equipment, which is something that you start the level with as well, basically. It was a game I really liked, and I think they've polished off a few of the rough edges and made some really sensible and good additions. I've been really enjoying playing it, basically. It's, as I said, I think it's a good fit for the Switch, but on any of the systems, I think it's a pretty good game to play generally anyway. It's quite good as a second screen game, but I don't think it would necessarily have to be. Like, the whole kind of concept and everything is still the same as it was before. You've got a kind of dealer that's sitting opposite you on a table, and he kind of narrates a lot of the kind of meta story of what's going on. And yeah, it's atmospherically really good. The combat is possibly one of the weaker points, but decent and good enough. Like, it's one of those things where it's got a nice balance between it being not too difficult, but it can soon ramp up to the point where you feel threatened and like you can't just completely switch off from it kind of thing. And yeah, it can get quite tricky when you've got lots of people that are quite hard and you don't have much weaponry and stuff like that. But it's one of those ones where
so
you
quite hard people are threatening you in a dungeon.
Yeah, but
sounds like
basically,
Thursday night.
Yeah, but basically, the roguelike element I think really kind of suits this game, but at some stages you'll get like a really bad run where everything just like really seems to go against you, and other times it seems like you'll get on a really good run where everything just goes your way. But yeah, you are paid by it does pay off to go through all the different types of encounters and as you unlock new encounters to just double check what they do and see how that would fit with a particular level. And sometimes going forward and then coming back to a level at a later point is a good idea just because of the different cards you've unlocked and, which ones will be helpful or not for the type of level that you're trying to play through.
Mm.
But yes, a recommendation, and continuing my good run of having really good Switch games. This has been another one, so yeah.
Well, it's not hard to find a good game on the Switch at the moment, to be honest with you.
No, that is true. There's a lot of them.
There's 20 billion of them.
Well, they did announce I'm not sure we discussed this, but they did announce recently there's going to be 30 new indie games a week, basically.
That's what they're aiming for.
The hellfire. Well, also, I think Nintendo Switch games held 15 out of the top 20 places on the Japanese sales chart, I think, in the past week. So, Nintendo are back. Yes, talking of people coming back, Coleman.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome back after Tim's monologue. How are you doing?
I realise I can sleep with my eyes open.
Excellent. You've played some games, sir.
Yeah, so I have played a game that has its re-release this week called Mooseman.
Who mooses the Moosemen?
You wanted a moose.
A moose bit my sister once. So yeah, this was a game on the iOS originally, and it has recently been released out to Switch and Xbox and PlayStation and PC. And it's a side-scrolling, atmospheric puzzle game, and it's very beautifully hand-drawn, and I quite like it. It's You play a character who is a silhouette, and you, along the way, get this power of the Mooseman.
Power of the Mooseman.
That's what I'm deciding to call it. It doesn't
Mate, I'd
give it a
be
name.
going back down to the superpower shop and asking for a refund on that. So you've given me the power of a moose. Yeah, that's right. You are now Mooseman. What?
Oh, yeah, it's not called the power of the Mooseman. That's just what I call it. But because it's called the Moosemen, and I assume they're hunting moose. I'm not sure. There is a section where you hunt moose. But as you go along the game, it does the two world type thing. There's the one world where everything is dark and silhouetted. Then if you hit a button, your character looks like he's wearing like a moose skull. And then there's all these hidden objects and things. Like objects will become different objects, or hidden objects will appear, or other objects will disappear, and everything will be highlighted in white.
Oh my God, it's the moose signal.
And that will help you, say, you'll come up to a chasm, and you'll hit the button to make the moose skull appear in your head. Then suddenly there will be a branch or something over the chasm that you can cross.
Right.
Other things will be there'll be a pile of rubble that you can climb over in one view, but then in the other view it reveals there's like a little caterpillar or something inside the pile of rubble that will move the rubble towards you when you're in the other view.
Jesus Christ, Jeff Cate's been reincarnated as a caterpillar.
Yes, it's a big caterpillar, to be fair. It's like knee high.
Knee-ho?
Knee-high.
Knee-oh.
Nino Cooney. Nino Cooney.
Nino Cooney.
It's very interesting. As I say, it looks like it's a hand-drawn style or hand-painted style, and it works really well because it's not a very taxing game. As I say, it was an iOS game previously, so it doesn't take up a lot of space in these games, but it is a very beautiful-looking game. And it is a very it's a sit-down, take a couple of hours to play, and then you're done unless you want to go back and find all the secrets and stuff.
Right.
But I don't know how much it is. It can't be that much if it was an iOS game coming out on consoles.
I think it's about £6. Just off the top of my head, sounds about right.
There's that thing where you, if you get a game and then you go, I wonder how much it is, and then you go onto the store and it doesn't say, it says purchased. So that's always fun. But yeah, so Mooseman, it's a recommend. I really enjoyed it.
I'm moosing the mans.
And the gameplay that I will put in the video version of this podcast, at some point I didn't realise I've been playing the game in Russian
Excellent.
And didn't notice.
Wow.
Because there's narration in areas between levels, and it doesn't particularly go on for very long. It's just someone reads a couple of sentences and it puts them up on the screen. I've been playing without any sound on, and these characters are appearing on screens. It's like, I wonder what that means. And then a little bit later, I put the volume up and I went, oh, that's Russian. I'm playing this game in Russian. I've not noticed.
I didn't.
Actually, that kind of brings me on to kind of an interesting point. It's £6.29, by the way.
Oh,
right.
How do you find yourself playing your Switch in handheld mode, but often with the volume down?
Yes, because I
listen.
listen. It's because I have Bluetooth headphones and not wired headphones, and the Switch doesn't accept Bluetooth headphones. I know there's that Kickstarter for the little device. I don't want to start plugging stuff into my Switch when I'm out and about.
Nobody got time for that.
I want other things that I can break while I'm out and about. I listen to podcasts while I'm playing the Switch usually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I usually have the volume on low, but just enough that I can hear it and
It's not that low.
turn it up if I need it a bit more. What was I going to say? Yeah, I saw a screenshot of this day, and it does, I had to say, it does look beautiful.
It's very pretty.
Very pretty.
Apparently, it was also Mooseman was an American heavy metal punk rap bassist.
Yes, I found that out today when I was trying to find out more about the people who made the game. And I can't help but whenever the title comes up when I switch the game on, sing Goodbye Moon Man, but Mooseman. So
Mooseman.
Mooseman. Mothergunship. That is a game that has released yesterday.
Don't swear at me, young man.
Thank you. This is a first-person shooter that is also a roguelike survival type thing.
Ding, 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 ding.
Roguelike, yay!
Wait, hold on.
Hey!
We just need you to be playing a roguelike this week, Dan, and people can cross things off the list.
I tried.
Oh.
This is not only a first-person shooter, but it's a first-person shooter that the developers tout has one of the biggest combination of guns that you can create within the game.
Guns.
I believe initially they went, this has the largest selection of guns you can create within the game, and then remembered Borderlands exists. So,
But that's a little different insofar as this almost looks a bit like you're kind of building your guns almost like in like a Kerbal Space Program kind of arrangement where you're putting building blocks together rather than them being procedurally generated.
You have modular guns that you'll find a base that has 1 to, I think, 5 different slots, and then those slots you add gun barrels, you add caps, I think they're called, which allow you to put modifiers onto the types of ammos you're using or the powers and abilities. And you could very well go out there with a gun that has 5 barrels on it, but it won't last very long, and you're going to recharge after one shot. So the idea is finding the balance of what kind of gun you're going to make, and what kind of abilities you're going to have on it, and then you can dual wield as well. So you could have the big powerful gun that only takes one shot, and then the other gun that's like the more well-rounded. My favorite is the Gatling gun head combined with the flamethrower head. That's quite satisfying. Which also fires out these like little pink shields as well that stop the enemy firing at you, so you can fire at them but they can't fire back. It's really cool. It's super fun and super hard. The footage that I've captured for this podcast, it will show how badly I suck at this game, because it's me basically playing the first level over and over again. Every time when you start off, it gives you some components you can build your guns with, and then as you play on into the game, the more enemies you kill, the more money you unlock. You can go into stores, buy more components, and then build more guns. But if you die, you get respawned back into your home ship, where you can go and start again and pick more components, but you will lose all the components you were carrying with you at that time. So it is that's where the frustration comes in, because you can get some really cool parts, and then one stupid mistake like falling off a platform into lava will mean you've just lost your really cool gun.
Oh.
Now, the reason it's called Mothergunship is there is
I have a question.
Okay.
Bearing in mind you've just fallen into lava and you've got a really big gun, as you slide down to your inevitable doom, do you do a thumbs up with the death animation?
No, that's Doom, Dan. That's Doom.
No, that's Terminator 2.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It came. Yeah, but they did it in Doom.
Oh, so they did Terminator 2.
Have you ever fallen in the lava in Doom?
Carry on.
Thumbs up. I loved it. I love it. The reason it's called Mothergunship, there is a big gunship that you're trying to take down, and it has loads of little drone ships around it. So each level is one of these drone ships. They're randomized and stuff, and there's different branching paths you can take along the way. And yeah, this game is super fun. I don't think it's too expensive as well. The game itself is £19.99 English pence. It is well worth the price of admission.
Wow, okay.
It's super fun. And I don't know if this is on Switch. I know it's on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. If it's on Switch, I may have to double dip and buy another copy.
It's not on Switch. It's Windows, PS4, Xbox One.
I hope it comes to Switch. I love the idea, like, the games that I know that aren't too taxing on a system, I'm immediately like, when's this coming to Switch? I want to play this on the move. Because I spend a lot of time on the London Underground, and I need games.
Yes.
There's only so much Legends of Zelda I can play.
Are you doing all the challenge dungeons on that at the moment?
No. I kind of fell off to... I fell out of love with my Switch for a bit, and it's kind of been sat in the corner. And I lent it to my girlfriend as well to play with. And now I've suddenly got back into it. I'm on the tube a lot more these days, so I've picked up my Switch and taken it out with me. And now I'm getting back into Zelda, so I'm going after the Divine Beasts at the moment. And yeah, it's fun. I'm really getting into it. And I did a stealth mission in a dungeon and found a room that was just full of bananas and was well happy. I found the Nani room.
Was it Banania?
Look at bananas!
You went through a wardrobe and you ended up with Banania.
Bananas.
That was my gaming highlight this week. Also, some guy on the tube, he, you know when you're like looking at your phone or you're reading a paper or something.
Oh, is this over the shoulder looking at what you're doing?
Yeah, they do that, which is why I used to love playing the 3DS, the new 3DS on the tube, because if you put the 3D slider up, it would track to your eyes. So if someone looked over, they wouldn't be able to see properly what they were looking at, and it might hurt them, and I like that. So,
nice, that's
such
a cool story.
Isn't it? You know what I mean?
Some guy was leaning in so much that he was almost resting his head on my shoulder.
And
I had my headphones in, and I took a look back. I was playing Mario Odyssey, and I took a look, and he went, I'm really sorry, I'm being nosy. I've really wanted to buy one of these, and I'm seeing if Mario's any good. And I went, it's really good. It was my game of the year last year. And I put my headphone and went back in, and I started fighting this boss. And I beat the boss, and then I see something like in the corner of my eye, and I turn, and he's put his hand up for a high five. And I felt really awkward, but I high-fived the guy, and then
I must say that's quite cool.
As we came into the stop, I went out the doors and then went into the other carriage.
Like a true Londoner.
Yeah, I'm too polite.
Oh my God, I've just interacted with somebody. I must meld back into the background.
Maybe he's a listener to the show. That'd be even better.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Wow, it's like one of, you know, like in the Metro, there's that kind of star-crossed lovers thing about, I sat next to you on the 327 Northern Line up to High Barnet. I was one who was touching myself in public. Yeah,
I might start writing into those. I've never read the Metro, but that's if I could start trolling them.
You could pen both sides of your own modern day love story, Coleman.
You wearing a t-shirt as a pair of trousers, me one giant tooth.
Yeah, you were that. Jesus.
Dan,
yes,
you've also been playing on your Switch.
I have also been playing on my Switch. Just as a bit of a dabble to see if it's something I actually would like to play or not. I've been kind of umming and ahhing about picking up Octopath Traveler, which is the new JRPG by Squeenix, unsurprisingly. Very much kind of a love letter to the age of Final Fantasy VI, or Final Fantasy III, as it's known in these parts. And the prologue version, which I didn't realise before because I wasn't paying attention, is actually just a time-limited bit of the game.
Which is because they released a demo which wasn't very good and
wasn't very well received.
The game. Yeah, not a lot of people liked it, and then which is a shame because there was a lot of hype into Octopath Traveler before it even had a name. And then which Octopath Traveler is a very weird name, by the way. And then after
wasn't that supposed to be its working title? And then he went, no, now it's its full title.
Well, the reason why it's called Octopath Traveler is that there's 8 protagonists, all on their own journey and treading their own path,
whose names all spell out Octopath.
Yes. But the one the prologue version you're playing is the one that Squeenix then released afterwards to go, here, play this version. It's actually the start of the game, and it's been much better received.
Did you play the first demo, Dan?
Yes, I did. So the first demo was just limited to 2 characters, and the prologue, you've got full choice of any of the 8. There are some areas that are ring-fenced off, unsurprisingly, but it's kind of, you're on the clock, it's 3 hours. Once you hit 3 hours, it gives you the option to save your game, and you can then pick up where you left off in the full version of the game. But no, I mean, one of my favourite games of all time is Final Fantasy VI. Absolutely love it. It's my favourite Final Fantasy game, and this is very much a homage to that. And it's kind of in a very kind of self-aware way. It's kind of got a lot of the foibles that JRPGs of that era had. The slightly cheesy dialogue, I must admit, but also a really, really enjoyable turn-based battle system. Which is kind of mixes things up rather than it just being spamming them with attacks and trying to chain attacks until your opponent falls over. Actually, the characters who you use, and as you basically you pick one of your characters to start your adventure off with, and you recruit the others as you go around, which is quite cool. All of them got different abilities, different strengths, different weaknesses, can use different weapons, or if they're a magic-based character, different elements they can use. And every enemy has a set of weaknesses that you need to play to. And if you hit them with something that's weak, their defense starts going down until you kind of defense break them and they become stunned. So there's actually, even just that little bit, actually folds in quite a lot of depth and strategy into the battles. And it's a beautifully presented game. I mean, for reasons that, total overkill use of the Unreal 4 engine. I mean, if you've seen a screenshot of it, you think, oh, that just looks like a kind of a 16-bit JRPG, and you're kind of right. But the world in which you exist is actually kind of a 3D model, and all of the textures are like, it's like they've kind of painted or stuck on 16-bit graphics onto these 3D buildings, and the effect is really, really nice.
Yeah, I think graphically it looks really nice. I quite liked the combat, as you say. It's quite interesting. There was something that really put me off the game. The thing that eventually broke me and I walked away from was I died, and then I had to go through an unskippable cutscene. I was like, no, I can't be bothered. I'll see you later.
Was that in the first demo?
That was in the first demo.
That was in the first demo.
Yeah. The second demo, you can straight up skip cutscenes.
That was wise.
Same problem I had.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah.
And that happened to me once as well. And I was like, oh, Jesus, really? Yeah.
I've also heard from other, and I can't remember exactly where, but I heard somewhere this week that one criticism of the structure of the game, which does sound interesting, but the one criticism of that is the fact that whoever you pick as your main protagonist doesn't quite flesh out as much as a main protagonist in the game often would, kind of thing. Is that something you got a sense of?
Yeah, I think in the 3 hours I've played, and I've only played 3 hours, I mean, it sometimes feels like it's trying to share the spotlight a bit too much. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that that there isn't a slightly different emphasis based on who you pick first. A little more, because it does feel like all of the characters are equally trying to share the spotlight, and that probably means you don't get in depth enough with their underlying character traits in terms of storytelling, as you otherwise would. And kind of the storytelling is, don't get me wrong. I think this is in a good way. Is very 16-bit mid-90s JRPG. There are no animated cutscenes here, no fancy pants kind of FMV anime sequences. It is sprites animating and wiggling about and talking to each other. But I kind of quite like it. I'm definitely going to be picking up the full version of Octopath Traveler, and I'm quite looking forward to having a kind of a slight bit of the old nostalgia of JRPGs from days of yore.
Do you think from the structure, though, do you think it's one of those games where you could get all you need out of it from playing it the first time, one time through? Or do you think you need to go back and play it with other characters to get more?
Honestly, at the moment, I don't know.
No, okay.
I don't know. I've played 3 hours of it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I might have to go through the prologue, because there was bits of it I really liked, but yeah, there was something that really put me off it, and then that unskippable cutscene made me. That was the thing that just turned me off completely, kind of thing.
I have £10 eShop credit that I need to use this month before it expires.
Oh, thanks, Coleman.
may
not.
put it towards this.
Oh, I thought you were going to.
You can't transfer it, Dan.
God damn it, Coleman!
I got some money for buying games digitally, and then I got given money for my birthday from Nintendo.
Aw.
They're like, "Ooh, you've got some
Nintendo."
eShop currency. We're going to double it. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
We are running out of time, so we're going to start wrapping this sucker up. Tuesday's Tuesday, Tim.
Tuesday is a Tuesday, Dan.
Tell me about Tuesday.
Yeah, anyone that missed it this week, we had possibly one of my favourite board games of all time in Starship Samurai. It is a great game. It was a good prize. It was a good night. Thank you for everyone
It was
who
the
joined
best
us.
of times. It was the worst of
It was
times.
the best of times. And no worst of times. Just best. Just best, Dan. But this week we have a very silly card game in the best senses of silly card games in a game called Quark. And I'm saying that loudly because it's got an exclamation mark at the end. But yeah, it's a kind of silly set collecting card game. I don't know much about it myself, but the creator is coming along herself to show us her game. So that's the best way to learn a game from the creators themselves. So it should be a really good fun evening. I believe there's also a game called Quark Legends, which sounds like it's going to be more in line with our kind of geeky tastes at Loading Bar as well. But yeah, if you come along, not only can you win a copy of the game just by playing it that evening, but you can also meet the creator of the game on the evening as well, basically. So this is a really good one to come and join us for. Anyone doesn't know, each and every week we have a different feature game, and if you play that feature game that evening, you get a chance to win a copy of the game at the end of the night just by playing throughout the evening. As said, this week's extra special because we got the creator there as well. And if you need more details, you can go on you go search for Tabletop Tuesday on meetup.com, or there is more details in the top left-hand corner of the BigRedBarel.com website. So come along and get some more details there, and then come along to the Loading Bar in Dalston on Tuesday and join us for Tabletop Tuesday.
You should do that.
Mm-hmm.
That you should do.
That you should do.
That you should do. So there we go. So head on over to the Tuesday place of the Tuesdays. Nowhere else does Tuesday like Tabletop Tuesday.
No.
It's the purveyor of the bestest Tuesdays you will ever experience. So yeah, anyway, that's your lot. But before we go...
Tuesdays.
What?
Cheesecake Tuesdays.
They're not bad.
They're not bad, but they don't alliterate.
I'll be happy with that.
What? Not alliterating?
Tequila Tuesdays.
There you go. Yeah. But
also,
they're followed by What the Fuck Wednesdays, though.
I'm already in a pub.
Oh, yeah, also, I don't mention it very often, but also, just so you know, on a Tuesday, if you can't make it to Dalston, there are two other events that happen in two of the other bars, two of the other loading bars. One is Barhammer over in Shepherd's Bush, and the other is a D&D night over in Stratford. So if either of those two...
because they don't give you the opportunity to lick Tim's neck.
Yes, that is true. Or win a game. But, they're still good fun nights if they're closer to you. But otherwise, come join us at Dalston. Also, as I mentioned last week, Mechs and Minions is available to play at all 4 bar locations. Just make sure to book yourself 48 hours in advance via their website.
Yes. Do that.
It's because it's a big game.
Big game.
Big, massive game.
It's like
Takes
Steel
48
Battalion
hours
of
just
tabletop
to
games.
unpack it.
I want to give away something.
Oh!
Give it away, give it away,
Right,
give it away, Dan.
now.
Give it away, give it away, give it away, Dan. What you gonna give away from the codes?
Because we got a big long list of codes which will eventually expire.
That's a good point.
Fairly sure.
We've got some good, where have these come from? We've got some really good ones.
Yeah, I know, because I'm on Humble Bundle and I sometimes get free stuff and stuff that I've already got. So what would you like? What would you like me to give away?
Let's do Dark Souls 3 and its DLC.
Okay. So
that's on PC.
On PC, on Steam. Whoever gets this first gets the game. HTMJD IDALQ 7X7FA.
Mm-hmm.
Now sing it. Yeah.
You gonna do the DLC too?
I think you should do the
not?
DLC because, if that person's quick enough, they get the game, but they're not quick enough that someone else gets the DLC. Someone else who has the game but hasn't got the DLC might it might be interesting.
Okay. Is this someone who I might know?
No, I don't know.
All right,
I'm just
okay.
saying,
So, you
right,
want to do double H C double Z E double J H Y J double T W Q.
Cool. Let us know if you got the game and the DLC, or if you only got the game but someone else got the DLC, because that'd be really funny, I think.
Yeah, exactly. and especially if you've cashed in the DLC without actually owning the game. That would have been a pretty amazing dick move. So, yes.
Amazing dick.
Amazing dick move.
That makes it so much better, Dan.
It does, actually. I think you'll find. Anyway,
Just
so
like
there we go.
cock push-ups.
Amazing dick. Anyway, let's say thank you to people. From the forums, I'd like to say thank you to Stealthy Joe.
I'd also like to thank Mr. Damien Cooper, Sam Ronin, Gabrielle, and Nelly. And I'll do Matt as well as doing all the Twitter peoples.
I'm trying to figure out if I've mistyped or if someone's been changing them. I think I mistyped. I'm assuming I mistyped.
On
Facebook, thank you to Freya Goddard and Ed Razor Price.
Who did you mistype?
Nelly.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
you did. She's got 2 L's.
Yeah.
And Gabriel
That's
was
on
written as
you.
Gabriel. Or
No,
Tim
that's
just
how you
might have
spell
said-
Gabriel.
Okay, Sim said Gabrielle.
I know he did.
Dreams
can come true.
Look at me, babe. Something, something.
They
Also,
are
I'm
into
wearing
you.
an eye patch.
No, I wear an eye patch.
Patch.
Look at my eye patch.
I really, really, really want to make her play Sea of Thieves.
Arr.
Just because it would be great and just make her sing at everybody. It'd be incredible.
Arr.
That's
Arr.
eye patchist.
Yeah, and it's not eye patchist. You're an eye patchist. Anyway, with that hard-hitting, cerebral conversation well and truly done with, we better go. So we are going to go.
Dreams, they can come true.
Our dreams, they be true.
Look at ye, babe.
I'm into you.
It's really hot. Did I say that?
It's
Yeah.
really, really
Brain
very
meltingly hot, as
Cool.
we've just discovered.
Cool.
warm. You know you gotta have hope. You know you gotta be strong. Dreams, they can come
I
true.
just noticed I only know the one Gabrielle song.
The world only knows the one Gabrielle
I know that
song.
other song, but it's not good.
Oh, what other
Right.
one does she do? I'm gonna Google
And
it now.
if you ever fall in love again.
Your sexy, sultry singing voice
Did it
there.
with E17.
What?
That song.
What?
What song?
If you ever with Gabrielle and
If
E17.
I Ever What?
Oh my word, that is a 90s combo and a half.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we go?
yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
I've got to edit this. We've added a quarter of an hour on.
All right, okay, let's go. We're out of here. So, we're going to go. Wow, I've just found the lyrics to If You Ever.
Stop it.
All right. So,
From the
anyway,
very
we're
first
going to stop
time.
this now. I have been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
Yeah, I've been Coleman.
So make sure you point your internets at www.bigredbarel.com/internet/com.net or whatever you want to do. We're on the Facebooks, we're on the Twitters, we're all over the place. So yeah, come say hello, and we'll try and say hello. Back. Come say hello.
Come, my lady.
Come, baby, come,
my
baby,
lady.
baby, come,
my baby,
come. Is that what you're hoping
sugar,
for?
baby.
Anyway, this has been 1993.
That was 2003, mate.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well,
Butterfly
come, baby,
by
come,
Crazy
baby,
Town.
come.
Yeah.
No,
Was
you're
it?
singing different
Yeah,
songs.
he was doing more 90s songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, he was more on
bloody
I make your
millennials.
legs shake, you make me go crazy.
Shut up.
Come, my lady. Come, my lady.
Shut up, Coleman.
Oh my god, those lyrics are filthy. I've only just noticed.
Anyway, we're going now. So thank you ever so much for listening. And until next time, dear listeners, toodle bye.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com.
for more podcasts?
News, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarel.com.
London Studio's got a big history of taking on big challenges, working on new technology, things like iToy and Wonderbook and Move, and obviously VR Worlds having the top-selling console VR game of all time so far is a good thing. And, we learned a lot from that. So with Blood and Shrieks, we really want to develop what I feel is the world's first and finest AAA VR game. So we want to basically show you what it feels like to really play a full single-player campaign in VR, AAA quality, great narrative, great storyline, incredible fun mechanics. All the things that people are really talking about